Is that because you've had so many pauses before with the injuries?
Yeah, I think that's a valid approach. I think I'm just I've experienced pausing a lot for injuries, but I'm just a passionate rugby player that wants to play rugby, regardless of those aren't really things that go on in my head when those decisions to pause are happening. I'm just thinking about playing the game I love and helping my team win, really. And it eats me up when I'm not able to do that, whether it's through injury or through selection or whatever it may be. I want to help my team win, and sometimes that's where reluctancy comes from.
I actually showed you a video of yourself earlier just kicking the football around. Tell me, like, when you were growing up, was there ever a toss-up between like the two, like football and rugby?
Yeah.
Kind of like had to choose.
Yeah, there was a stage where I was playing a football game, then a rugby match after each other on a Saturday. Football was my first big passion. My dad's a very passionate football supporter and very semi-pro footballer. Sorry, Dad, but we love football. So football was my first kind of passion that was ignited. But after time and the schoolboy rugby flavor, I kind of just edged towards that. And I think because of the pathway in South Africa in the rugby system, I think it was just a lot more in my favor to go that way.
Speaking of kicking, obviously, I get the impression that display against Georgia sort of like jolted you a bit, because obviously you're not a guy who misses as many as you did. One of the things thinking about it that hit me was there's been a ball change. Is that in any way, shape or form like a factor?
Ooh. No, I don't think so. I think sometimes kickers and athletes just have an off day, and I'd like to just think that was an off day that won't be repeated again. I would hate to blame external factors for that. Independently look at myself and say that just wasn't my day with the boot. And a couple of them missed by half a metre the other way, and you got 3 out of 5 instead of 1 out of 5. But that's how things go, and I think whoever's up there, the man up there controlling everything, is just teaching me a lesson, and I'm glad that I can get it at a young age.
What lesson?
Sort of adding on to that on the mental side of things, for you guys as fly halves, it's a lot sort of more nailed in about, if you miss, you get a lot of hate, and if you nail it, you're the hero. Is that something that's really tough, especially for players like yourself, like Marnie, who add so much other stuff to the game, but that's almost not seen if you then miss a kick that ends up costing that game?
Yeah, that's one of the highest pressures of our position, but it's also one of the most attractive things about our position. You have to really be on par with everything, and I think that drives you to new standards and new levels, and it gives you new responsibility to be a match breaker and orchestrator for the team. Yeah, it's tough and it's tricky that sometimes one impact like that on the game can have such a negative pullback. But it's part of it, and I think it just it motivates you to just be better in that aspect of your game, and I think that's the one positive that can come from it, that you just know you need to nail down as many things, as many aspects, as many characteristics of your game you can.
So Sacha, moments like this is every athlete's dream, to be an ambassador for brands. I mean, at such a young age, obviously there's that pressure from playing and the pressure to serve the brand. I mean, how do you manage it? Like, how have you been developing yourself in this type of an environment?
That's also a good question. I think for me it's so simple. It's if you can perform on the field, then your off the field commitments usually thrive too. So for me, it's obviously a big responsibility being the face of a campaign, like with a big brand like Powerhead. But I know as long as I do my stuff. As long as I do my stuff on the field, it's going to bring more traction to them, and it's going to have more of a positive, lasting effect on our partnership. And ultimately, they are with me because they believe in my capabilities. So proving them right is the most important thing there, and then they're happy too.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say when you're on stage, you said that you don't think that you're quite the guy yet, like in the Springbok jersey.
Yeah.
Maybe like when you just think about it, what does that look like for Sacha? Like when you can say like, okay, look, I'm the guy.
It's a tricky question, man. But like, Sia's the guy, Pollard's the guy, Eben's the guy, Cheslin's the guy. What do they all have in common? They've won this country matches. They've won this country World Cups. They have been around for a long time. They've got a huge support base, and they are good examples. So the sooner I can become like them, that's when I'll probably start to look like that guy. But it's going to take time. I think Sia and Eben have been around for just over a decade, so yeah, it's not going to happen tomorrow.
Can I ask, being like a box, player and everything comes with a demanding schedule at the same time.
Oh, sorry, man.
So from intense training to like big match days, how do you keep up like with the focus and energy levels high through it?
That's a good question. I think sometimes you can feel a bit sorry for yourself and wonder why things are so hectic and so busy. But then, like those guys mentioned, you look at the other guys in the squad, like a Sia or Eben, who have been doing this for over a decade, and then you stop feeling sorry for yourself, and you just push on. I think this high intensity, high pressure sport we play is all just about pushing on, and I think every time you push on, you realize that what you pushed on from wasn't really that bad, and you just have to be strong-minded and strong-willed, and it becomes easy.
And how does it feel seeing yourself on billboards while you are driving down the road? Just pinch yourself and ask yourself, is this for real?
I just cringe sometimes. At this point, I'm cringing a bit. Yeah, look, the young version of me would be so proud, so I'm not going to sit here and complain about it, but also sometimes I drive past and just block my face, 'cause it's enough for the day.
But I think Powerade is like all about like fueling your performance and
Yes.
recovery. So how does it fit into your like daily training and match day routine?
Well, Powerad's very in line with me, of course, and my sport, but also with the Springboks, my team. Obviously, the direct things it fuels with, whether it's carbohydrates or electrolytes or vitamin B, whatever. It's a refreshing, rehydrating drink, bro. And I think sometimes you just want a sip of a drink.
100%.
And like me personally, fizzy drinks don't go so well. I don't really like fizzy, sugary drinks. So I can like down a whole bottle of Powerade in one sip. So for me, it's 10 out of 10.
The culture.
Listen, practically the very first moment you got into first class rugby, the comparisons started coming in. Next Dan Carter, idiots like me writing, generational talent and stuff like that. How do you stop yourself from getting ahead of yourself? Because you probably block it out, but some of it seeps through, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure my subconscious can feel some of it, but I've got like and I appreciate those articles, by the way, and I appreciate, of course, there's so many harsh words said sometimes from people that it's also nice to have nice words, of course. But like you said, I try not to indulge too much in those things. I have quite a nice system where my friends are all guys from school, guys who don't really respect me as like a Springbok, and they keep me on my toes, and they stop me from even considering those things. And I could play a 9 out of 10 game, and they're going to tell me about the 1 out of 10 I was bad at. So it's people like that in and around me that just keep me on my toes and stop me from enjoying your articles too much. But this is a high pressure environment we're in, and there's so much scrutiny that also, it's nice to have 1 or 2 nice things said about you every now and then. So, I enjoy it, but I don't indulge in it. And I hope it never becomes a part of my makeup.
And how do you maintain patience with the process? You said you're not the guy yet. Obviously, there's a lot that needs to happen before. How do you maintain patience with that process? I think maintaining the patience will probably come from like steady growth. I think the moment you stop seeing yourself grow, then you become impatient and start worrying and become paranoid and things like that. But like every day, I'm not saying this for the cameras, I literally feel like I can grow every day in a part of my game or make a mistake. I make a lot of mistakes.
on the training field, on the match field. So I'm always growing, and that's, that at least shows me that there's still an end goal to get to. And because I can see the end goal, I remain patient. If I couldn't see the end goal, I'd be impatient and impulsive, I think. So for me, just keeping all those things in consideration helps me, stay slow. I'm excited for where Batu's. I hope to play with the guy one day. I know I'm going to have to play against him for the Lions. We'll see if I can rip a ball from him then. But he's a quality player. He's a champion, literally. And I think that camp was eye-opening, and it kind of set us straight to what we want to achieve in this Rugby Championship. I think we worked we worked so hard, and it just shows that our coaching staff are motivated to see us do big things, and we just reciprocate that energy back to them, and we work hard, and it becomes an enjoyable process at the end of the day, because last year even we tasted the Rugby Championship, we tasted what that felt like, and I think that taste is still lingering, and I think we want to taste it again, and pre-seasons like this are the way to get that.
And Sacha, you've spoken about, the high-pressure environment of it and everything. And, from what you've experienced over the last 2 years in the Springbok camp, even, the high-pressure environment at the Stormers, has that sort of set you up now for what is possibly going to be the highest pressure environment you've ever stepped into when you guys head down to New Zealand and, you possibly get to step out onto the turf there at Eden Park? Yeah,
I think every little stepping stone to moments like that are crucial, whether it be Eden Park or it be, a Rugby Championship decide or a World Cup game. The high pressure environment kind of molds you to be able to cope within those moments, and I think it's beneficial for all of us, and all 23 players on the field, whether it be in Eden Park or at Ellis Park, they are better equipped because of the intensity and the pressure we basically live in South Africa and in our rugby environments, and it only makes us better players.
And do you sort of have a personal or team goal that you really want to achieve this season?
I think the team, we just want to win as many games as possible, and I think the more games you win, the better chance you have of collecting trophies. So I think the Springboks just want to win as many games as possible this year.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.